Well, hey there! Today I am reviewing The Martian by Andy Weir. Now, I grabbed this book because of the movie, as many others probably did. The difference with me is that I really put my foot down against reading this book. Even when The Martian hit theaters, even when people were raving about how good it was, I waited until the movie came to the cheap theater before I even saw it, like months after the initial release. Usually, and I mean, you guys know this, you've seen my videos, you know, usually I am adamant about reading a book before watching the movie. With The Martian, I was just as adamant that I would see the movie first. To be honest, I never expected I would even actually read this book. Why? Partly because I heard it had a lot of swearing. That's one of the things I draw the line with. I don't like a whole lot of swearing in my books, or my movies, or my TV shows, to be perfectly honest. But also because I honestly didn't think I would like the story. I mean, it's about a guy stranded alone on Mars, fighting to survive. Is it going to be intense? Oh yeah. Moving? Well, it'll probably have its moments. But enjoyable? I anticipated an adrenaline-pumping film that I would watch once, maybe twice, but I couldn't see that this story would hold enough entertainment for more than one evening. Not for me, not when there weren't any conversations or aliens or anything. Boy, was I wrong. What makes this story is Mark Watney. His personality, his sarcasm, his snarky little asides, and his disparaging remarks about disco music. While the plot of the story is intense and daring and yeah, quite exciting, I wouldn't have cared a lick if Watney wasn't such a believable and interesting personality. Without his jokes and his crash course of 70s pop culture and his random declarations of things like I am basically a space pirate with undeniably logical explanations to boot, I would have set this book aside a long time ago. I mention a lot in these videos that I do not like prose and narration as much as I like dialogue, and this is still true, but there is an underlying reason for this dislike of prose and narrative. That reason is personality. In so many books, I find that the prose and the narrative is lacking any hint of any character's personality at all. And for me, especially as a reader, personality is what I connect with. And do you know what happens when you take personality out of writing? You get a big long block of descriptors without any feeling. That's what happens. The Martian doesn't do this. It is bursting with personality, which is what makes the story so entertaining and interesting and nail-biting, and it's all because of Mark Watney. And because Mark Watney is such a likable character, I found myself reading through detailed descriptions of space travel technology, computer programming, NASA regulations, physics, and biology, and I hate science! I hate science! In fact, science overload is one of the main reasons that I do not enjoy reading most science fiction. But because Mark Watney is such a snarky character, he makes every one of these subjects interesting by inserting this snark into his explanations of it. If any science teachers are watching this, maybe that's a good way to get kids interested in science. Put a little snark into it. I know I'd pay attention. I still cannot believe that I sat through and read this entire book. If anyone else had written this, if Andy Weir had used any other character and personality than Mark Watney, I would not have enjoyed it a quarter as much as I did. Kudos, Mr. Weir. Kudos. Now, there are differences between the book and the movie, as always, but this is, frankly, one of the best book-to-movie adaptations I have ever seen. The movie really nailed the core and the story in this book, and Matt Damon was amazing. Matt Damon was more Mark Watney than the actual Mark Watney in the book. For this reason, I did actually enjoy the movie more than I liked the book. It's not a bad book. It's a good book, but the movie did such a good job in adapting this book, and especially where the Matt Damon, Mark Watney is concerned, just it brought out so much of what made this book good and just exaggerated it, they exemplified it. And so some aspects of the movie are actually better than the book, and it's one of the reasons that I do enjoy the movie better. But the book is by no means bad or even mediocre. It is really, really good, and it's definitely worth a read. Because still, there's a lot of stuff that they could not fit into the film that is in this book. Now, as a caution to my readers, and because I did mention it before, there is a lot of swearing in this book. There is quite a bit of swearing in the movie as well, and there's more in the book. The F word especially is used by a lot of characters across the board. The reason it doesn't bother me is because the swearing is generally used in situations or instances where it would be quote unquote called for. So the swearing actually serves a purpose. It's not just swearing for the sake of swearing, which is what I abhor in books and, well, movies and TV too. So there is swearing, but it didn't bother me as much because it was actually there for a purpose. It was serving a purpose as far as the characters and sometimes the story was concerned. So I didn't love that about that, which is why I did deduct 1 star. So The Martian by Andy Weir gets 4 out of 5 stars from me. This is definitely on the to-read scale if you enjoy the movie. Definitely worth a read. Alright, that is it from me. I will definitely be back sooner than I have been back previously before because I'm getting back on top of this booktube thing. That's a promise. From me, Amanda Thompson. To read, or not to read, shall return. That's my dramatic disappearance cue.